Well friends, we have a brand new Yoshi game, and even though they kind of baited us at the start, making me think it was going to be a 3D game, it is another 2D game, and that is totally fine because this game looks really, really good. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it, as I cannot wait to get my hands on most of these games that came out in the Nintendo Direct. But today we are going to break down Yoshi's new trailer and uncover all of the hidden secrets in it. Starting off, we get Yoshi and his little tongue going to extend and get the apple off of the tree. We have seen him eat these apples in many of the games that he has ever been in, especially one I remember very well, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. He's able to get an apple and a bunch of different apples, and if you get them all together, you get an item. Well, he is very, very pleased by this apple, and all of the flowers appear around him. The environment he is in, it seems to be another Yoshi's Island type environment with this tree in the background with eyes. I don't think we can say for 100% certainty that this is in fact Yoshi's Island, but it looks very similar to it, and there are a bunch of Yoshis here. So then all of these Yoshis look up into the sky, and you would think that it's just the mysterious book, Mr. E, falling from the sky, but if you look close enough, it's actually Bowser Jr. in his clown car holding this book open, reading this book. So Bowser Jr. is out here causing trouble for this book, and Yoshi and all of his Yoshi friends are going to surround the book and try to figure out what is going on, because it appears by the impact frames at the end of this little section of the trailer here that Bowser Jr. somehow is crashing. I guess this is just their way of saying, do not text and drive, do not read and fly. Bowser Jr. loses control and crashes with the book, and somehow Bowser Jr. gets away or runs away by the Yoshis going to appear in front of him in the book. I don't know if he gets scared or if he's just like, oh, it's not worth the trouble, I'm gonna leave, or if he gets what he wanted from the book or what. But for whatever reason, Bowser Jr. is interested in Mr. E, and he wants more of it. He wants the power, he wants something from this book. We can see here once we finally get to meet Mr. E, he says, "That's much better, thank you kindly." So that probably tells us that he was upside down and the Yoshis were able to pick him up and put him on this stump here. He introduces himself as Mr. Encyclopedia, calling him Mr. E for short. And of course, Bowser Jr. is nowhere to be found, so we probably scared him off as the pack of Yoshis ran up on this crash next to the beach side here. He goes, "How serendipitous, mysterious creatures are the subjects of my very pages." This is a very odd thing for him to just all of a sudden decide to say. I mean, it seems as though we are just now starting this conversation with him based on him saying, "Thank you, it's much better," that kind of thing. So now for him to introduce himself and then all of a sudden start talking about his pages is just a little odd. So he opens up the book, and all the Yoshis start to run away except for this green Yoshi, our main character here, and he shows us the book. It says Chapter 1, Wildwoods. And we can see this environment here. It's a very cool storybook looking thing. There's like a beanstalk on the left side. There are apples on the right side. There's a little pond in the middle, and the flower on the left side as well, moving around. This book is sentient and its pages are sentient. Based on what he said earlier, talking about all of these mysterious creatures, makes me think that he does not recognize them, so he's able to read his own pages a little bit. But at the same time, he says he's not able to access the information, so somehow he knows that there are mysterious creatures lying within his pages, but he does not know what they are. He cannot access the information, so there's something weird going on there. It makes me think that Bowser Jr. was flying over this Yoshi Island type place, and that all of a sudden his powers were able to be used to look at this landscape and mimic it in a way. Because although we do have a beach in the background there with an ocean, it is still very much Yoshi's Island in the middle of it because of the trees, the apples, and the little mountains that we saw in the background of that first shot. Him saying that there are mysterious creatures within inside his pages that he cannot access information to, but yet he knows that they're there and that they're foreign to him, makes me think that somehow this is new. That him flying over the Yoshi's Island with Bowser Jr. somehow activated some sort of power, some sort of mimicking power, or something like that to be able to give us these new creatures and this new look. And my guess is that throughout this game, we're going to be flipping through these pages and going into the book itself to defeat level after level after level and achieve the goals within it. Maybe even going into the level, figuring something out, coming back out, and giving him the piece of information that he is looking to access. And of course, with Bowser Jr. having been in that opening shot, I'm sure he is not going to let us just sit here with this stump and on this stump and just go through pages after pages after pages. He will probably come back and want some sort of revenge, and we'll have to figure something out. So after we look at this Chapter 1 Wildwoods thing here, we can see him flip a bunch of his pages. The Wildwoods signature pops up at the top, 0 stars with question marks telling us we don't know what this level is called, 3 collectible flowers at the bottom of this top here, and then it says a mysterious creature. Is it a flora, fauna, or both? A magnifying glass that he has at the very front of his book cover comes from the front to the inside of it and starts to examine this flower. This is obviously a sentient flower from Yoshi's Island, something that Yoshi is very familiar with, but something Professor E, Mr. E, is not familiar with, and so that makes sense as to why these creatures are somehow being mimicked onto his pages. It's something that he just doesn't know about. Maybe Mr. E has some sort of scanning ability that he doesn't know about himself yet. I don't know. Something weird is going on with him not knowing what's inside of his book, but yet these things that are inside the book are very clearly reminiscent of Yoshi's enemies, Yoshi's Island, and everything from the Yoshi series. So Yoshi is able to go inside of the book through this magical magnifying glass that he has on his eye. And I'm sure there is some reason that they've skipped over as to why Yoshi is going inside, something that he agreed to with Mr. E here, but I'm sure he wants to figure out more about these creatures, more about these flowers, and Yoshi is going in to figure out what they do. What is their biological makeup? What can they do? What are their abilities? What is something that Yoshi can interact with them, and how can he report back to Mr. E? So the very first clip of actual gameplay we see here has so much that I want to break down. First, look at the environment and look at the text underneath all of these different roads here. All of that text at the bottom is Mr. E's text. We are inside the book, and we're seeing text appear to verbalize, narrate Yoshi's thoughts, Yoshi's feelings. This whole game is going to be centered around you are playing a storybook. You are going into Mr. E, and you are able to figure out something, figure out what these flowers are doing, who they are, what their abilities are, what these mysterious creatures are that he referenced, and we are able to see, while playing through this game, while playing through the story, what is happening and why we're here. Yoshi is thinking that the flower tasted a bit sweet, and then all of a sudden we see the flower jumping on top of Yoshi's back, and we get to see in the next clip an ability, but we are now able to see NPCs, enemies, whatever you want to call them. These interactable objects, these mysterious creatures, are going to be able to be ridden on Yoshi's back, and then you will get certain abilities based on their biological makeup, based off of what they do, what they can provide, and how you can interact with the world. And again, I just want to draw attention to this motion style animation. Like, it is so crisp. I love this style, and it is very clear that it is a textbook type style, that we're in a storybook here, and that Yoshi has come to a different world. This isn't just a different island. This isn't just a new location. We are in a literal fantasy world. We are inside of a storybook. And even with the little animations here, the little strokes, it's as if someone was writing with some sort of paintbrush, with some sort of pen, and they're drawing out the story as these animations are going around Yoshi and as these little lines are being drawn. And the little story, it's like a story is being told because you are in the story and you are the story. And so the drawings around you, the drawing of Yoshi, of the flower, everything here screams creativity and screams that there is a vision and that this vision is being met. This vision is being executed perfectly by the developers. They thought, let's make this a game surrounding the idea of Yoshi going into a book, and everything is going to be based around that thought. And so they were like, okay, paintbrush, okay, drawings, okay, there's going to be text on the actual terrain. It's just genius. This is ingenious. And so we see here with the flower riding on top of Yoshi's back, they approach a patch of flowers, and there's a little drawing, and then there is narration, make flowers bloom. So we know now that the flower gives Yoshi the ability to allow flowers to bloom around him. And of course, we know from later in the trailer why that is, but for now, there is another clip here I want to look at outside of this first one where, yes, there is even more to look at in terms of the background. There's a huge flower, beanstalk pillar in the background. In the foreground, we can see even more texture on this ground here, more leaves, and also collectibles, some sort of coin that we will be able to collect as Yoshi that they had deliberately skipped over on that first clip there. It kind of looks like a pumpkin. I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at here, but there's like a pumpkin, a squash, and there's a bunch of coins in these shapes of what look like vegetables. So they introduce us to this flower, and they're showing us a bunch of different clips, different things that we can do with this flower. So then Yoshi is riding in a little cave area underneath all of this area, and there's even more text to look at in the foreground, even more text to look at on the terrain. It just really drives home the point. You are inside of a magical book right now, and you cannot read this language, but that is the point. You are in a fantasy world. Now, I am assuming this game is made by the studio Feel Good, which makes a lot of Kirby games and Yoshi games. They are really known for those cozy, easier games that don't have a ton of depth to them, but this game is a little bit different. This game, its trailer is very intentionally strung together, and this clip particularly intrigues me. So of course we can see the physics of the flower on the back of Yoshi, and then the little flutter jump that he always has. Then Yoshi jumps into this pile of mud, and this world is more interactable than we initially would have expected because the mud gets covered on the flower, and the flower and Yoshi both come out of it with mud on them. How many times in previous games have you played where you go through water or mud and there's just nothing? Like the animation doesn't do anything, the character is just the exact same, there's rarely water drips or anything. This game is not like those games. This game is really showing you that when you do stuff in this world, it has natural consequences. And of course, this isn't a huge consequence. Yoshi is just getting a little muddy, and so is the flower. But maybe later in the game, there are going to be different quests, different missions, different levels where you aren't allowed to interact with specific environmental hazards, otherwise you are going to fail. Maybe there's a flower that doesn't like getting wet and you have to dodge all of the rain puddles or the mud puddles or anything like that. This world is just limitless in terms of how much they can do with it, and your interacting with it is a big part of it. That's what this trailer is telling me so far. Next up, we have another beautiful look at this landscape, the hand-drawn art style that really mimics that storybook feeling that they're trying to go for here. We can see that Yoshi has the flower riding on his back again, but this flower is different from the initial flower that was riding on Yoshi's back. It is a white flower rather than a yellow one, so I don't know if that flower is somehow transformed in color. I could see that potentially happening considering that the flower turned all muddy once the mud interacted with them, so maybe the petals change colors based on something that you interact with in this world, but maybe this is a different level altogether. In fact, we know that it is a different level because this end of the clip here, we can see inside the storybook that this is level 3 in the Wild Woods area. Whereas that first level that we saw in the initial part of the trailer shows that it is level 0 or star 0, so maybe that's trying to say you're collecting 3 collectibles or something like that. I don't know. I would consider it to be the level. I think that's the actual level itself. So of course we see even more gameplay here at the beginning of this clip, and then Yoshi goes to 3 big buds, and those are what I assume are the 3 collectibles that you're going to get in each level, and they might only bloom if you collect 3 collectibles, or maybe that's just all you need to do, get to the end and flutter jump through them, or perhaps in future levels they will be separated throughout the level, all 3 of them, and maybe this is just because it's early in the game that they're going to be all 3 at the very end so you don't miss any. Maybe there's something like that. And again, this is a focus on a storybook type landscape. This is very clearly within the pages itself. You can see on the right side the color was kind of disfigured, and then all of a sudden it comes back to this. We see a very big focus on the pages here. All 3 big flowers were collected, they bloomed. And at the end, we see even more of Yoshi's observations. He says it tastes a bit sweet, they ride on Yoshi's back, and then they make flowers bloom. Which makes a lot of sense because if E doesn't know what these things are, he wants to know more about them. Yoshi will go in and have thoughts about whatever the heck they are, interact with them, and then report back to E. So then we see Yoshi in another level here with what appear to be some type of dandelions, sentient dandelions at that. Yoshi sees them and he runs straight through them, and they all flutter up in the air, and he encounters another flower there too. But the biggest part here are these dandelions. So the dandelions have these odd abilities to be able to merge with the flowers, and then the flower becomes white. And that is actually now, in retrospect, is the white flower that we saw earlier in the beginning of this trailer when I was like, oh, it's yellow, then it turns to white. This is the white flower. It is dandelion-covered flowers, and then once you brush into the dandelions, it will move over the rocks, move over the terrains, and cause it to wither, cause it to break a little bit, and make it easier for Yoshi to stomp on them. So he does that again with another big rock here, and inside this rock is a coin, a collectible, and that is what Yoshi is going to be traveling through, collecting through, and getting throughout the entire game. Then we get a bunch of clips back to back to back here. First, I just want to highlight this funny looking fish on top of Yoshi's back, fishing with Yoshi. It's got a weird little like kelp hat, which is very adorable, and of course it's not Yoshi that is fishing, it is the fish that is fishing, and that is just a whole other level of ironic, because there is a huge fish down there that is not sentient like this fish on the back of Yoshi, and they're looking to get him, and I don't know what they're going to achieve by getting him, or why Yoshi can't just go underwater, but here we are, and we're fishing, and this is just another example of a NPC on the back of Yoshi. This game has a lot of that, and this one makes use of a fishing rod and perhaps will give us even more abilities. We can also see in the bottom left there is another coin here, similar to the ones we saw earlier and similar to the one that we saw in that massive rock that Yoshi was able to break and earn a coin for. They are standing on some sort of moss that is able to hold up Yoshi and that fish's weight, and there is a little wooden bridge to the right of them. I assume Yoshi will be able to jump and flutter jump over to that to avoid the water, because that fish down there potentially will attack us because of how big and menacing it looks. It's so funny too because it doesn't really have any thoughts behind its eyes. It's just staring, just waiting. I also really want to highlight how gorgeous this game is here, because they are using this top background here as like the book background. You can see it's almost like yellowed out like old pages, but then in the forefront we can see these amazing looking rocks and the water in front of it causing those little water lines. It's just gorgeous. This game, man, this game looks really, really good. Then we get another brief clip of this thing on the back of Yoshi's back. He is throwing it as he is able to use a bunch of different NPCs for their own abilities. It's like a gnome or something. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but he's using it to throw it at the target, and because it hits the very middle of it, you can see it says +5. You're able to get +5 points, and there was like a tomato or something that this thing squashed. So Yoshi is able to use these NPCs for their abilities to get through different levels, and each level will probably be very different and very interactable because of it. Then we get the climax of this trailer with Yoshi interacting with the world more than ever. Interactivity is the focus of this game's world and of this game, period. There is a weird little flower here, a weird little frog thing that bursts out a bubble, and Yoshi is able to jump into that bubble and float up into the sky. Then Yoshi is riding what appears to be some sort of waterproof sentient skateboard creature. Then we see that Yoshi kind of runs into a bunch of different fish here, and those fish turn into little coins that they are able to collect. Then a little version of whatever Yoshi is riding on is collected by Yoshi, and we are apparently supposed to collect all 6 of them, and that's probably going to be the main theme of this level. You are surfing on these waves, and you're looking to get all of this creature's little babies, perhaps? You're trying to get all of the babies and bringing them back home, because this mother or father or whatever is looking to get their little babies back. And I don't know how important this is going to be to the gameplay or if this hints at something in this level, but it is interesting that these little palm trees or whatever kind of trees they are in the background here look like wind turbines, and maybe I've just been analyzing this trailer for so long that I'm going crazy, but I feel like the leaves are moving. Like at the very beginning here, I feel like they are rotating just a little bit like wind turbines would. Then in the background of this shot here, we can see this is the same world because there are even more of these wind turbine looking trees, and there's a huge one back in the distance there. Now, none of these are rotating, but they all have something to do with whatever this world is, whatever this type of level is. I also find it interesting that we go from a very nice, calm, weathered, beachy type background to weird mountain vibe with all of this rain. It's very, very interesting to look at. Then we have these bird umbrellas, and that's a theme here in this game, so far at least, with all of these creatures being able to give Yoshi even more abilities, more interactivity, and also creatures being actual real-world objects in this world. Yoshi is going to have to report back on some very weird things to Mr. E, especially this bird umbrella creature that is somehow flying through the air, and Yoshi is able to use their flying abilities to get where he needs to go, because this rain just can't be, right? He just can't get rained on, so he's got to use the birds and their little flutter abilities to get through the rain and then get to this weird patch of non-rain. There's like rain, no rain, and rain. And of course, this is Yoshi getting revenge on Mario because he is so upset that back in the day, Mario would abandon him in pits. And so you can see here with this poor little bird umbrella on the right side of your screen, after he jumps off it to abandon it, it is getting crushed by the pressure of the rain and falls down, and it just isn't going to make it. So Yoshi is presumably, going to the very next bird umbrella here through this water patch, and the second he makes it through, he's going to abandon him just like his old friend Mario did back in the day. This is also pretty staunch evidence that this game is going to be about generational trauma and how you overcome that. And Yoshi will not be overcoming it in this world or this level. Now this seems to be another very odd jelly-looking monster here, and it also is merging a little bit with the terrain around it because it's got a bunch of grass on it, it's got some leaves on it, and a very obviously protruding belly button that I didn't want to highlight because he looked embarrassed about it, but I just have to, right? I'm analyzing the trailer, man. What do you want me to do? And of course, this could be a boss fight, but this is a Yoshi game, and of course there are boss fights in Yoshi games, but something about this makes me think that this is going to be a friend, something that's going to give us a ability throughout this game. We know in past Yoshi games that Yoshi was able to turn huge and kind of go through all the terrain, wreck it up, and just make a big mess of the place, and I can kind of see Yoshi jumping on the top of this little friend here, and he helps us get through one obstacle or another and break up a bunch of terrain for a huge cinematic experience in one level. Or it could very well be some sort of boss fight that we have to knock him down, and then Yoshi has to ground pound on that protruding belly button. Just like Nintendo seems to be weirdly fascinated with it, reminds me very much of some other Yoshi Island enemies in the past, but also Petey Piranha in Mario Sunshine with his big old belly button. It's just weird that Nintendo likes green creatures with belly buttons. So then we get this last shot here with the flower on top of Yoshi's back once more, this little dancing flower right next to him on the ledge above him. We then get the title confirmation for this game, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, coming out on the Switch 2 in spring 2026. If you had told me going into this Nintendo Direct that I would not only like that there was going to be a Yoshi game, that Yoshi was going to be a part of Mario's 40th anniversary, and that I would be doing a video on it breaking down the trailer, and that trailer would be over 20 minutes, I don't think I would have believed you at all, and I am just so excited that this game exists to begin with, because Yoshi's Crafted World was not it. It was not at all it. Yoshi's Woolly World back on the Wii U was very, very fun, but again, we just were kind of tired of these old Yoshi games coming back, being weird in their own wacky, aesthetic way, and not focusing on any sort of new gameplay hook, rather than just saying, okay, we're going to do this one about cardboard now, and this one's going to be about wool now. It wasn't fun anymore. And I think Nintendo really went back to the drawing board. Goodfeel went back to that drawing board and really came out with a unique concept that affects both the gameplay, the interactivity of this world, the creativity that this world can offer, and also giving us a new look, because they seem to love giving us new stylistic looks, which I have no problem with whatsoever, as long as the gameplay is able to back that up. And this looks like the first Yoshi game that I have cared about in over a decade. So, it is a 2D Yoshi game, and I am so thankful that you made it to the end of this video. Thank you very much, and let me know down in the comments, did I miss anything? I'm not the biggest Yoshi fan. I didn't play a lot of those older ones back on the SNES. I don't know a ton about the series, but I knew enough, I felt, to make a video on a brand new game, and I feel as though I didn't miss a ton, but if I did, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and all of that. Make sure you press that like button, press that subscribe button, and of course press the hype button. It's a brand new button that really, really helps out the channel. Make sure you click that notification button to know exactly when all of my videos release, and consider joining my membership program to support the channel, a few bucks a month, and the top tier will get you early access to all of my videos. Make sure you click on the left side of your screen to see my breaking down of the Nintendo Direct at large and why I think the Switch 2 is just fine, that Direct was pretty good, and click on the right side of your screen if you want to see my thoughts on Fire Emblem getting another game. Thank you for making it to the end once more. You make sure you have yourself a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.